There was a man who spent 30 years praying 5 times a day to a God he was terrified of, and the moment everything changed did not happen in a mosque or a church. It happened alone in the woods at 11 o'clock at night, on his knees, staring up at a sky full of stars, asking God to stop hiding. What happened 30 days later in a car on a Monday afternoon will make you cry. Stay until the very end, because the moment he walked into that church and stood up to speak is something you will never forget. Drop a comment right now and tell me where in the world you are watching from. We are one family across every border and every time zone, and we will pray for each other. This is a true story. No names will be used anywhere in this narration. This decision was made out of sincere concern for the personal safety and privacy of the individual involved and those still connected to this story. The details remain as close to the truth as they were lived. Everything else you are about to read is real. I was born into a Muslim household in the early 1970s, the kind of home where faith was not a topic of discussion, because it was simply the air you breathed. By the time I was 5 years old, I was already doing 2 things at the same time every weekday: going to school in the morning and going to mosque in the afternoon. I knew the prayers before I knew multiplication. I knew the rules before I knew how to read a full sentence. But even as a small boy, something about the way God was described to me never settled comfortably in my chest. The teachers at the mosque showed me a God I could not love because I was too busy being afraid of him. He revealed himself to me through their words as something enormous and cold and watchful, a being whose primary interest in me was to measure my failures. I could not picture myself standing before that God and surviving the accounting. My bad deeds outweighed my good ones. I knew it. I had no way to fix it. And that knowledge sat in me like a stone for years. I grew up, moved out, found work, and carried that stone with me everywhere. The questions I had as a boy did not go away with age. They grew sharper. I asked myself where my spiritual life had gone. I asked myself what God saw when he looked at me. I wondered whether all the sins I collected over the years had built a wall between me and heaven so thick that no amount of prayer could break through it. I did not have answers. I only had the questions and the weight of them. In the spring of 1998, through a set of circumstances I did not arrange myself, I was offered a place to live with a Christian family. I was in my late 20s, between situations, and the offer was practical more than anything else. I accepted it without any spiritual intention. I was not looking for God. I was looking for a roof. The family I moved in with was unlike anything I had encountered before. The first thing I noticed was that their kindness did not feel like performance. I had grown up in a world where hospitality was tied to obligation and reputation. What this family extended to me from the first day felt different, and I spent the first several weeks trying to find the seam in it, the place where the act would slip and the real version of them would appear. It never slipped. The father of that family showed me something I had never seen in a home before. He left early every morning for work and came back late, and when he came to the door each evening, the house did not tense up. It relaxed. The children ran toward him. His wife smiled without effort. They gathered around the dinner table and held hands and prayed, and sometimes the children sang a short song to give thanks for the food. He never raised his voice. Not once in all the months I was there. He spoke to his wife with a respect that treated her as an equal, and she carried herself with the dignity of someone who had never been made to feel small. She was intelligent and educated, and when she spoke in that home, everyone listened, including her husband. I watched all of this from the outside, like someone watching a fire through a window in winter. I could see the warmth, but I did not yet understand how to get inside it. The family began to share their faith with me in quiet, unhurried ways. They told me I needed a savior. They showed me, through the texture of their daily lives, that what they had was not a religion made of rules, but a relationship made of love. They revealed to me that the love in that house did not originate with them. They said it came from God himself, flowing through them and outward to whoever was near. I could not accept this easily. My instinct was resistance. I asked myself how God could give them something so visible and so real that he had never given me. What did they carry that I did not? These questions drove me back to my own faith, back to the Quran, searching for something I could hold against what I was seeing in that home. During this time, someone gave me several volumes written by a highly respected Muslim scholar, a man whose name was known and honored across the Muslim world. As I read through his work, I made a discovery that shook the foundation of something I had always been told. Almost every explanation this man offered, almost every point he made to clarify the meaning of the Quran, led him to reference the Bible. He pointed to the apostles. He referenced Paul. He cited John. He used the Bible as a source of truth to strengthen his own arguments. I sat with that discovery for days. I had been taught my whole life that the Bible was corrupted, unreliable, a book that could not be trusted. And yet here was one of the most celebrated scholars in the Muslim world using it as his foundation. I told myself that if this man, whom millions respected, treated the Bible as a genuine point of reference, then there was something in it worth reading without fear. The questions inside me were multiplying faster than I could manage them. One night, in the late autumn of 1998, I walked out alone into the woods near where I lived. It was 11 o'clock. The night was cold and clear. I got down on my knees on the ground and looked up at the sky and spoke honestly to God for the first time in my life. I told him that I was not asking for a burning bush or a voice from a cloud. I told him I simply needed him to show himself to me in a way that was real and personal and direct. I told him I wanted to know if he was truly there. Then I waited. 30 days passed. During those 30 days, I told the family I was preparing to leave. I had been there long enough. I told him on a Saturday that I would collect my paycheck from work the following Monday and move back to where I come from. I told them plainly that I did not think becoming a Christian was something I could do. I explained that I was Arab and Muslim, and that those two things were not separate from each other in my understanding. I said I expected to die both. I left the conversation there and went to bed. Monday came. I drove to collect my check. A woman in that Christian family had a habit of leaving audio cassette tapes in my car, tucked into the radio or left on the seat. I had developed my own habit of tossing them into the back without listening. But that Monday afternoon, as I drove, a tape began to play before I could reach for it. The voice on that tape asked me a question that I was not prepared for. The man speaking asked whether I wanted the love of God. That was all. 4 or 5 words that landed somewhere inside me that I did not know was still open. I began to cry. Not a small private moment of emotion, something that came from a depth I had not visited in years. I wept and drove and told God out loud in that car that yes, I wanted that love. I told him that if he would love me regardless of everything I had done and wash it all away, I would give him everything I had. I drove back to the house that evening without telling anyone what had happened. I walked through the door, and the family looked at me. They had never seen me cry before. They did not ask questions. They simply came to me and held me and wept with me. We stayed like that from late in the evening until the early hours of the morning. No one explained anything. No one needed to. The following Sunday, I went to church for the first time. When the pastor looked out at the congregation and said there was someone present who wanted to share something, I stood up. I did not have a prepared speech. I had no theological framework to offer. I simply told the people in that room that I believed in Jesus. I told them he had given me peace and taken my sins away. I told them I believed it in the deepest part of my heart. Then I wept again. When I looked up, the entire congregation was weeping with me. Some time later, I attended a funeral for a family member of the woman who had first shared her faith with me. At the gathering afterward, person after person came to me, shook my hand, leaned close, and told me they had been praying for me. After the 10th person said it, after the 20th, I understood something that undid me completely. God had not found me because of anything I had done or deserved. He had found me because a community of people had been quietly, persistently asking him to. 6 months after that Sunday, I was enrolled in a Bible university. 2 years after that, I was in full-time ministry, and I have not stopped. I returned once to the mosque where I had prayed for years. I stood outside and watched the men going in and coming out. I recognized what I saw on their faces because I had worn the same expression myself. Duty, effort, the relentless labor of trying to earn something that cannot be earned. You cannot share love you have never received. You cannot offer peace that has not taken up residence in your own chest. I had said the words for peace my whole life, and had never known what they were pointing toward. The peace I found did not come with conditions. It did not withdraw when I failed. It was not sold or traded or balanced against a list of my failures. It was given freely on a cross, and it has never been taken back. To every believer reading or watching this, I am asking you to pray specifically and persistently for those who are still on the outside of that love, looking into glass, feeling the warmth but not yet knowing how to enter. Your prayers are not small. They reached this man through 30 days of silence and a cassette tape on a Monday afternoon. They can reach anyone. If you do not yet know this peace personally, you can receive it right now. Tell God you know you have fallen short. Tell him you believe Jesus paid for every one of your failures on the cross. Ask him to come into your life and make you new. He will not turn you away. He has never turned anyone away who came to him honestly. Share this story with someone who needs it, like this video. Subscribe so you never miss what comes next. And leave a comment telling me where in the world you are watching from. We are praying for you by name even before we know it.